Yeah, it's 6:30 now.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Greetings from IEEE NITK Surathkal. So we're very glad to actually have a very eminent speaker in front of us today. He was a student at RV College of Engineering. He finished his degree and then worked in General Electric, the famous company, and then moved on to actually start his own firm, which is called FluxGen, which actually focuses on sustainable water conservation. And it was, and as a previous intern at this very firm, I must admit it was a great experience. Apart from this, he is also a co-founder of two other companies, AirProbe and also of Sustainability Mafia. So today in front of us, we have Mr. Ganesh Shankar. So, sir, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Chandran. I must say, NITK was one of the dream colleges during our time, and I still know it's one of the top college in India today. And I feel very fortunate people like you have interned with us, and after the internship, you have also given me an opportunity to speak in this event. Thank you so much. I really feel privileged to be speaking for this webinar. So, folks, uh, very welcome to this webinar. In fact, we are right now having internship program at FluxGen with various engineering college. And I must say, in the morning icebreaker session with the interns, I actually generally asked, what is the state of your mind today? And some of them said they are worried, they're scared, they don't know what to do with the situation of pandemic. Will they get jobs? What will they able to do after this engineering? So I did get a feel of, okay, so the state of mind today before going for a placement or anything is this could actually be something that I should address in this gathering. And then I also thought, if I had to do that, the best way could be to tell my own kind of story, and which actually started almost 20 years back, when you guys, I mean 2001 rather. I started my career, or rather, I started my engineering. Let me share my screen right now to take it, show you the presentation. Of course, this presentation is more about the picture slides of that for the title "Trends in Technology." Okay, so yes, my name is Ganesh Shankar, and you could reach out to me, or you could visit my site ganeshshankar.in for my blogs. So Chandran told me the context of this webinar: journey as an employee to employer, the future of technology next 20 years, skills requirements that an employer looks for, tips for recruitment process for corporate companies. So I've tried to combine all these things with my own journey, which started nearly 20 years back. Okay, so I will time and again in this, or rather in this presentation, I will give a hint of all these four things. Of course, the future of technology, I'll start back from my first day at RV College of Engineering. 2001, I got into RV College. I think I got some CET rank, some 450 plus something, triple digit rank. Probably during our time we didn't have a separate exam for NITK. I did not get. I mean, RV College was one of the college that I wanted to get in, but NITK was one of even more preferred college. But yeah, I managed to get into RV College. I still remember that first day. I actually went to the library. You might wonder, on the first day I went to library. Yeah, because all the other place I was scared as a first year, first day in the college, I was scared of ragging and all those things. Though I should say that it was very pretty much controlled, but I thought I was much safe in a library. I still remember on the first day I saw a IEEE Spectrum in the magazine section of the college, and it was actually a there was a small LED on, I mean, a picture of a small LED in that IEEE Spectrum magazine. I was like, and it was written the technology driver for the next decade or something like that. It was written, or technology driver for the century. I looked at it. I had done PUC electronics, 11th and 12th. I had taken optional as electronics, so I pretty much knew what an LED was. I thought, like, what? An LED is the technology driver for next decade? Can't be. I mean, what the hell? It's just a small. It blinks when I put 1.5 volts, and It doesn't even give much light. And I actually didn't read the entire article. I read part of the article and I left to go back to my class. And it so happens that LED today is the main source of lighting. I mean, as I speak to you, the lighting everywhere in my house is LED lighting. I missed the sign that LED. I mean, if I had read the entire article and had shaped a career in that field that day itself, I could have actually shaped a career in LED, and probably I would have actually made something really made a career in that. Anyway, so all that I'm trying to say is that look out for signs around you, whether it is this IEEE magazine, or even you talk to a person in an event, or maybe this is a webinar. So look out for signs. That's something that I wanted to tell you guys from the first part of the lesson. If you want to look out for technology of the future, look out. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me show you some pictures of college days. This is a typical college day is about sitting in this place. What I believe about the college days, and you guys are already there, is you will never get this golden duration. This is a golden time of your life. Having these friends, chatting with the friends. Please don't, while your career and everything was so important, I say don't miss out of that good feeling, because in this tension and aspiration, you might actually miss out on some great friends that you would make. Actually, I have all these people are like such a great friends in this thing. So something that I believe that a college life would give you. So don't miss that. Most importantly, I would say, if I'm an entrepreneur today, this event of organizing this fest was so important. I mean, like the college fest, I mean, rather the department fest connect was something that really helped me work with the team, understand how do you make something happen, right? So that is something that I want to tell you all. I mean, in my journey so far, this is one of the most important point. So we were part of this art and advertisement team in RV College, our department, and 2004 was that really important part of the fest. I mean, 2003 the seniors organized, the 2004 we as seniors organized it. This was my pre-final year, and I have my friends. I am in very in touch with all these people even today, right? So all that I'm trying to tell you guys is, while you have all this career aspiration and thing, don't miss out on the things like now Chandran is organizing this webinar, right? So this requires so much of coordination. Like he had to put up all this collaterals, marketing collateral, Instagram post, and send this thing over WhatsApp and various other Telegram and things like that. All these things are so important in building your career. So when I come to you and talk about what are the skill set that you should have as an employee, or when the placement or anything like that, many times these organizational skills that you would actually gain by arranging fest or organizing an event is what matters the most. To be honest, even during my placement when I was in RV, I only spoke most about all these things. Of course, the technical part is there, but the interviewer was more happy about listening all this to all these things, right? So don't miss out on that. Let me tell about a funny event in my college days as well. I should also tell you that how I actually didn't really do well in studies much, that I even flunked in my final year. And my friend in the center, his name is Ravi Shastri, he told me, "Arey, let's go to Tirupati. You will definitely pass in revaluation." I still remember that funny day. But we went to Tirupati and we had also got a phone and all those things and took this picture. We had that memorable time. My friend Vinod, of course, he went to IIM Bangalore and I after the engineering. So I should say you see his band, Tirupati band. My hand again, the Tirupati band. We went there, we came back, but again the reval result didn't turn out in my favor. So I must say, probably till sixth semester, till my placement, I had reasonably good aggregate, and seventh semester, it was like total. I mean, I think I flunked in one subject, and my father had to come to college because I had some problem with some thing in the department, and that's considered as the worst thing to happen in a college days, like your parents being called. It's not like a parents teachers meeting but, that you generally have, but only picking on one student. So I must say that while I was very keen on all the stuff that I was doing as an engineer, electronic circuits and things like that, I somehow didn't manage to get all that great grades, or even to an extent ended up having a tough time clearing subjects. But however, I must also say another very important inflection point in my engineering was I started a small business, and I called it as Surge Labs, right? Surge in electricity is that electric surge. So I saw that a lot of people flunking in laboratory exams, and I was doing really good in lab exams because I loved circuits, I loved all that practical things. So I convinced my father that we'll set up a lab, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of students would come for doing the lab experiments, right? And the lab experiments would be like doing RC phase shift oscillator, or EC, even a common emitter amplifier, common collector amplifier, various circuits. Because people used to do the experiments during the lab, but when the examination time, they would be like, "Oh, I don't remember how I did that circuit." I would definitely flunk. During my time, we had lab exam for 100 marks. You either get jackpot, if you get the output, you get 90 plus. You don't get the output, you flunk in the exam. I saw a business opportunity. I told, before the exam, you can use a lab for 10 hours and you have to pay 500 rupees, right? And we had more than 100 students coming, and that was a pretty good success. Of course, I had a group discount and all those things. We included Viva and all those things. So EC lab, Com lab, communication lab. So I must say that I was crazy to even think of setting up a lab to do this thing, but being crazy really helped. And I take this event in my life as one of the keystone event, rather, that helped me to take up a career in entrepreneurship later. Rather, I take up a choice as an entrepreneur later in my life. So one of the things that I would tell you guys is, how much ever people think you're crazy to start something, don't mind. This was back in 2004, like startup and everything was considered not. There was nothing called startup actually. The word itself didn't exist, to be honest, in India. So, but I just thought of this, and I must say, like, I should be very thankful to my parents for encouraging me all these crazy ideas that I ended up starting this, right? So if you have a crazy idea that you think can make sense to you, just go for it. I mean, you are building the future. You don't have to be always looking at getting employed. And knowing NITK students, I mean, I have met so many NITK students. We have had more than hundreds of NITK students as interns over last 7 8 years. You guys should not even be worried about anything. If you feel that you can do something, go ahead. See, this is COVID. You have the scares of not getting a job. So this is an opportunity even to start a small business. Maybe this was a hardcore electronics business that I was trying to do. But during my time, we didn't have any possibility of doing a mobile app or something like that. Put it in your Play Store or your this one App Store. But today you have all those things, right? So considering the fact that I came from a middle class family and spending so much money on all these things was very difficult. But since I could still convince my father, I'm sure you could do a lot. Okay. But I should also say that I was super passionate about radio frequency, right? I always thought I want to build a career in radio frequency. I mean, like I just thought this communication devices, connecting one device to another device is the most super cool thing I could do as far as my career was concerned, right? So I did everything to get a internship in radio frequency. And my friend's father was a group director in Israel at that time, or he had just left, and somehow we were able to manage to get an internship in Israel. And we worked on this project called X-band circular polarized right-hand circular polarized microstrip antenna. So this antenna was supposed to communicate signals from all the way from your on the space, or rather some satellite to ground station, right? So this is a antenna that we built. This was as smaller than a Reynolds pen. I still remember the great experience of using some amazing simulation tools to do all the radiation pattern and get that to build this antenna. Let me not go too much into detail, like all the other engineering folks might get bored. But yes, it is very important to be passionate about something, not worried whether that's going to last for long. That's what I've learned. And if you think that if this field is going to be there for next 10 years, 20 years, and you try to do something on it, it might be all right. But I would rather say, if you feel okay, this is exciting, I somehow feel that I want to do something on this line, I think that would rather give you a greater pulse, right? Well, I didn't. I must say that I didn't get a job in this area, but that was a good starting point in this field, right? I should say this is a picture when I was a student at RV College, perhaps probably my final semester, and I should say I flunked my final semester as well, because of which I was not having a job. Like you guys are having COVID. For me, I mean, there's a situation called COVID. In my case, I had created a situation like COVID by actually not clearing my engineering on time, right? But though I was so passionate, I could even build a lab and conduct laboratory experiments. I even cracked GATE that year. I got a pretty good GATE score as well. But when it came to so basics, I just screwed up, right? So so let me tell you what happened after that. So since I flunked in engineering, I didn't get this job that I had got through this placement. I was like, oh, what to do now? I mean, my career is pretty much screwed. But then my senior, his name is Hari DK, he was actually working in the startup called Next First 2005. So it was not a thing. Startup policy in India came only in 2014 or so. I remember it was 2014. 2015 we had startup policy. 10 years before a startup policy, this guy was working in this company, and he told me, Ganesh, I'll introduce to this my managing director. His name is Jayendran Balasubramanian, and he doesn't care about all these grades and all, man. He will do this interview. You clear your subjects later if you want to. So JV interviewed me, and He told Ganesh, no problem, man. You're awesome. You know this tech stuff. You're hired. Since it's a startup, I can only offer you a salary of something like 5,000 rupees per month. I mean, my friends during back then when I graduated, they were getting 50,000 rupees per month. I was here in 2005 getting a salary of 5,000. But I should also say, JB himself was a Stanford grad, IIT Bombay and Stanford grad. He was building futuristic stuff. We were building robots which were controlled by electronics hardware, circuits, designing all those things to make a special purpose machine which could even test a motor. What would take probably, I don't know, 10 minutes to test per motor, it was able to do it in 1 minute through this robotic equipment. I had a hell of a time. I must say, this is one of the best experience in my adulthood, that I ended up working in the startup because I was in this catastrophe situation that I didn't complete the engineering on time. I had to actually take up this job. But I used to work almost like 16, 17 hours a day. I mean, I always used to stay in that office itself. We used to build a machine, and each project was like for a month or two. We used to build a machine, we used to do coding, we used to do electronics, we used to work with the mechanical engineers, build all this stuff together and ship it. So one of my earliest project was actually sending that machine to Cincinnati, right? I mean, in the US. So the thing that I want to tell you guys is that all the things that bad happens to you that you think is bad may not necessarily be bad, right? So like not not getting into the job that I had got through campus placement was a serious disaster, right, to me. But it was actually good because I worked in a startup back in 2005. If I had not worked in a startup in 2005, I would have probably never started a startup. I should tell you that, right? So, whatever is happening to you guys in terms of COVID or something like that, something else, you're probably destined to do something else than what mainstream guys would do, right? So don't get bogged on. Like, Chandran and bunch of these guys took up an internship at FluxGen because probably some of these guys had offer from internship which got cancelled because of COVID or something like that. But today, I mean, I was very thrilled to hear from Chandran that was one of his good experiences in his college days, right? So don't that is a message that I want to tell you guys. Don't I mean, the future is probably not known. At least to me it was too difficult to understand because I had a pretty good gate score. I could have got into the IISc and IITs of the world, but I had not even cleared, right? Yeah, we had a great time even in that company. We had visited places. So everything that money could not buy, we were able to get it through this wonderful bunch of people I made as friends. And one of my colleague was Hari, who had actually, I told you about, right? We had prepared for GATE together. We had gone to join this job together, and it so happens in 2006, I had cleared my engineering. I mean, all the supply and all those things. I was able to get into the Indian Institute of Science because during my time, I think even now, I think GATE score is valid for 2 years. It was valid for 2 years. So I got pretty good GATE score and had a year of experience, and I got admitted to the Indian Institute of Science. I must tell you that I was born on the same street where IISc is. I was born in KC General Hospital. My dad's younger brother, Dr. Gopalakrishna Murthy, did his PhD in Indian Institute of Science. So it was always that thing for me that I want to get into this institute. I mean, like my father had this pride that my brother studied here. So, there's so much about that parents having that thing that, okay, a great place. So, while I understand that this was the influence in my childhood to study, and fortunately, I made it through and I got into IISc. This was my lab with my junior Ganapati Subramaniam. I'm having this picture. So I was working on, of course, I did bunch of courses, and again, I didn't fare well in the credits. I didn't get great grades, but this lab was amazing place. I was actually working on something called quadrupole ion trap mass spectrometer. So this equipment was to find out the molecular weight of any sample that you put in it, right? If you put benzene solution, you could find the molecular weight of benzene. So this was like a my I had two guides. One was a physics PhD and other was an electronics PhD. So what I learned from these guides was that there is no when it comes to research, you can't just depend on what you have learned in engineering. So I have to tell you that in engineering, when I completed engineering, I had run this lab and all those things. I thought I knew it all. I had this kind of crazy confidence that I know a lot of things. I can do anything. I mean, like that kind of extraordinary confidence. But when I went to masters, all that I thought was I don't know anything. My guide knows everything. My seniors in the lab who did PhD, who were doing PhD, told I realized neither I know anything nor my guide know anything. We just are all of us are trying to figure out what to do. So it was pretty interesting to know that different stages of your career you get different kind of feeling and you get more grounded. So one thing I realized is after getting into IISc, I came to know how little I know in anything in any field. Right, I was actually uh, with some of the bright minds in the I mean the country, because the professors in IIScs are, I mean, light years ahead of thinking in terms of student like us, right? I mean, the best faculty in from the, I mean, the world actually, if they want to come to India, they would prefer IISc. Of course, depending on even their this one. Yeah, this was my actually room, when I was a student. I'm just trying to give you that if you are any dirty, I was a pig, right? So yeah, I mean, this was probably when I was about to graduate out of ISC. But it's just that I was supposed to graduate or like complete my thesis. I had not completed my thesis, but to be honest, I had got this job in GE Energy, and I had this thing of a trip to what do you call Leh Ladakh. I know, being crazy the way I am, my guide asked me, Ganesh, you have to complete your thesis. You have the job joining date in GE coming, and you have this trip to Leh Ladakh. You have to choose one of them, or you have to choose at least finish your thesis and join this job. And okay, yeah, this Leh Ladakh trip is there, so what is right for you. You to take that choice. I decided to go for Leh Ladakh than joining my job in GE or complete my thesis. And 3 weeks of my life or 4 weeks of my life, I had a hell of a time to go to Leh Ladakh, go to Manali, trek in some really amazing places, uh, go to almost to the border line of control, enjoy a trek there. Of these people, seven of us in the first row even went to some crazy places, the front of it. And I came back. When I came back, I had lost my job offer from GE because they told you didn't join on time, so your job is gone. Exactly what happened in my engineering finishing. I had the same situation with my masters as well. So I was in the state, like G told, this was 2008. 2008 was just like how you have now you're having lockdown and depression, right? It was economic slowdown here. The economy had slowed down, and the jobs were, there was huge job loss. And the job that I had got, I had lost it because I went to Kashmir, right? So then but I was like really in a panicking mode. What would I do now? I mean, like, the only job I had got, that's also gone. I mean, I was placed in this company, it was giving me handful of salary, very this one. But fortunately, the person who interviewed me told, Ganesh, I really want to have you, so I have another job opportunity for you in G, but you have to clear the interview rounds and all again. Fortunately, I cleared the interview rounds, and I got into General Electric. So I got into GE Aviation Business, and that was like a small team in GE campus in Hyderabad. And I must say, so at that point of time, I had thought like I want to work on. I mean, like. Uh, I mean, to be honest, I had thought, okay, aviation seems to be good. Let me work on aviation. So I was slowly in the stage of life where I was thinking, what is the purpose of my life? One of the things about a place like Institute of Science is that you meet great minds, you make great friends, and some of these people ask you tough questions in life, like what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? What do we want to do? So this time in GE when I was placed, I was thinking about what should I do with my life? What is that? Should I just making money is the purpose of my life, or becoming very good, becoming famous, or is this the purpose of life? So that's what was my thought process. And I had the opportunity to go to A380 inside and understand how this aviation system works and all those things while this background things were working. I had a wonderful team. So, a place like GE, you have all this. I mean, when I joined GE, GE was above Apple and other companies. I mean, Facebook didn't even exist like we know today. So it was the most sought after job, if you ask me, in terms of uh, for an engineer in electronics, electrical, mechanical. It was like really a dream job. Of course, Google was a most all this job for this one. But I had this wonderful time with my great colleagues. Again, I involved a lot in this extracurricular activities. I was anchoring events. I was involved in dance, for that matter, which I used to be very bad at. What I'm trying to tell you is, uh, all this thing that you have in your mind about getting into a job, and I want to do all those things. It necessarily not that when you get that job you get that all that fulfillment, and you start trying to fulfill that thing in a job through doing many other things, right? I started doing that. So one of the best things about a job in GE was that I could do things that was related to engineering, which I did, and rest of the time I could do anything. So that's what was a good thing about a corporate job, I must say. But I was getting disenchanted. I was in my diary, or one of the diary books, I used to do sketches of, I used to feel like I'm lost somewhere. I should be somewhere else, right? You could see this draw sketch I had done while making notes for some team meeting or something. You could see this January 2009. I had I think it was in 2010. I was had written this thing, but I had a what do you call, a diary of to the previous year my father had given me. And in my diary, I realized that I was kind of not fully sure of what I want to do with my life. Definitely, it was, though I was getting good salary, good money, or anything, it was not fulfilling enough. So this drawing somehow I able to find out. I mean, get it out from my thing for this presentation, and I realized I want to do something else with my life, right? And I decided to quit my job in General Electric. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? All that I did in 2003, 2004, whether it was that startup, that laboratory I had set up when I was in college, and that startup I had worked, that was so much of a kick that I realized I'm not getting that kind of a kick in this corporate job. Though I must say he is one of the amazing company one would always want to work with, but it was not fulfilling enough for me that I had to leave this. This is one of the moving farewell. Literally, we were moving in the train, and my friends gave me a farewell. We went to some amazing place before I left. I left GE, right? So that's how I left GE. I wanted to start a fresh career in sustainability. So this was second half of 2010, not very far from Mangalore, a place called Ujire, close to Dharmasthala. So there, a professor of mine from IISc connected me there, and he told, "You work in this company called Selco, amazing people. Dr. Harishande is an exemplary person. Why don't you work there? Get some experience in sustainable technology. Start with solar. Once you do this, then you can leave the job and start your own company." So one of the key things that I would like to tell you guys is that you want to do something, even if the job is not paying you much, if it's going to take you in the right direction, take that job. So Selco, for all, is a social entrepreneur, a social enterprise, not like a hugely profitable company. It was looking at social benefit above profit. So I was not. I hardly got a very small fraction of the salary that I was getting in GE, but that job really helped me understand what I want to do with my life, what I want to do in my career. So this is a very important tip I would tell you. The moment you figure out what you want to do in or your life, 2010 was the year I found out what I want to do rest of my life. I wanted to be in sustainability, work in clean tech, climate change, and all that thing that is associated to sustainable development goals, right? So once I figured out that I want to be in this field, the rest of things became so simple. So I started my engineering in 2001, and it took me 2010 to figure out what I wanted to do in life. So it takes time, no problem. Don't get worried. Oh, is this what I want to do? No, it takes time. So don't have to get all panicky. I don't know what to do with my life and all those things. It will take time. But what is so important is keep trying to figure out what makes sense for you, right? What made sense for me may not make sense for you. So more than me telling you which field you should enter, you should ask yourself what makes you feel alive, right? So ask this question: what makes you feel alive? What makes you feel the joy in what you're doing, right? And when I realized that I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I took one complete year break. 2011, I did nothing but cycle rides, right? I did get the company registered though, but whole year we did cycle ride from Bangalore to Goa, Bangalore to Chennai, bunch of this ride. I mean, Savandurga, local rides. So one complete year of break because I knew my life it's going to be very complicated, very tough after being an entrepreneur. I deserve 1 year of break for myself. So I took a year break. I just did all these cycle rides, and I'm so glad that I gifted myself a year. If not, now it is almost impossible to take a year break, right? So there's no rules to this game in whatever you're doing in life. Whenever you want to take a break, take break, right? So I would always try to quotes from the movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. There's a quote there. You can always see the movie. I don't want to be a spoiler, but it says there's no rules to this game. You want to take break, take break. You want to do something about it. So it that 1 year was complete joy, right? I mean, and then 2012, to be honest, 2011, by end of 2011, I had got the company officially registered, but 2012 is when I actually started FluxGen Engineering Technologies, right? With the logo, with this one of Sustainable Technologies. And we had this initial logo of the company. And we started as a projects and consulting company, a company which would take up projects in sustainability and serve the projects. We'll do that project and give it to our clients. We worked on projects. I started, my first client was again University of Science, right? I did even work with RV College of Engineering. Very important tip to you guys: never lose ties with your alma mater. Your alma mater can give you the first business order that you want to, because you're the product of the institution. So always stay connected with your alma mater. For me, that's what helped, right? I mean, I had thought the future of work is sustainability, and I want to start somewhere. And my alma mater gave me a first purchase order on setting up a solar plant in IISc and do energy monitoring and build a software that would monitor all those things. And eventually, we ended up building solar microgrid, bunch of all those things. And one of the things that we did was water management system for a industry. That's where our product journey started. So the product journey was actually building Aquagen. The Aquagen is the product that would help in reducing water consumption in industries. And our goal is to save 1 billion liters of water per day. And rather, the new cherished dream is to make industries water positive, right? So while this journey of figuring out sustainable technologies, while we were microscopic, by the way we decided to focus on sustainability, we became nanoscopic in identifying that we are going to work on water. So FluxGen is a company now focused on reducing water consumption industries, and we call people who work with FluxGen as water warriors. So anybody who are our intern or full-time people or any of us are water warriors. So if you want to be a water warrior, always reach out to me. Whether you use IoT, artificial intelligence, data science, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, you're more than welcome to become a water warrior, right? So that's what FluxGen does. I come from a family of teachers, and I always thought I should be doing some bit of teaching work. For a short duration, I actually taught at BMS College of Engineering, and I even was adjunct faculty at NITK Suratkal as well in ENC department. But I'm a Bangalorean. I wanted to go back to my alma mater, so I went back to Indian Institute of Science. Indian Institute of Science wanted me to offer a course on Internet of Things and entrepreneurship associated to it. 2017, I started offering courses in Internet of Things, and I continue to do even today. So a part of you, you may want to do something complementary to what you're doing. So find that out, right? I mean, if you have some interest in something collinear or complementary to your career, for me, teaching was a complementary thing to my job, because teaching helps me stay updated about technology, stay updated about what technology people use, and I could even get people to my company. So Center for Continuing Education at the University of Science was a great place. I had this classroom, and I just enjoyed doing these courses at IISc. That some of them even started working with me. So after they did the course, this was for working professionals, not for graduate. So and being an entrepreneur, you're not you also have to pay bills apart from the money that you make from your business. You might get additional source of income as well. So that's my tip to you guys. If you always have additional source of income, if you are not fully funded, right? If you're funded, you have to just focus on one thing, right? I also started another company called Air Probe, which is 14W Technologies, through my classroom at ISC. So because FluxGen was moving entirely towards water management, I didn't want to lose out on whatever we did in solar. So my colleagues at FluxGen, two of them, Aditya and Kaustubh, decided to become the co-founders of this company. This company uses drone analytics, uses drones and deep learning and image processing, OpenCV, and all those things to find out faults in solar farms, right? So I must say the guys are done more than 8 gigawatts of scan, and saving of energy is equivalent to powering 50,000 urban houses. Power that would be from the energy saved. So I actually 2019 I had decided to actually move out of as a one of the fully functioning member. I'm still the co-founder with quite a lot of, significant equity. But I decided to move out because I was also getting into a new role, and in my personal life, I was becoming a father. So I thought this is a time I would actually spend time as a father. So 2019, I moved out of it, but this company is doing phenomenal work. Okay, so thanks to Kaustav and Aditya for taking this company, a dream project that it was, and it is actually going in a very just way. 2000 end of 2018 and 2019, I thought have made so many friends in sustainability, and we are all having different problems that we can help each other. So through that, I actually thought that let me make a group of consortium of all this entrepreneurs working in sustainability, whether it is waste management, energy management, water management, bunch of these things. All these people can work together to solve problems of sustainability. So thankfully, my friends Arjun Gupta and later Anirudh actually joined in this vision, and we have actually started as a non-profit organization with a mission to multiply the impact of sustainability leaders through goal-oriented collaboration. and to make India the engine of world sustainability solution by 2030. So this is a non-profit organization. We call the names are also in the organization as mafiosos, soldados, sicarios. So we have come up with a very unique naming of uh, various profiles in this role. We have more than 50 to 60 full-time entrepreneurs in sustainability as part of this group. We have such talks every Saturdays. We have events to do cross-pollination of our ideas, and we have been able to multiply our impact through this organization. A lot to come through this. I'll tell you more when we grow. But feel free to reach out to me if you want to be a volunteer for the Sustainability Mafia, right? So again, I'll come back to the context of webinar. So this was my story, starting out from my college of as an RV college engineering student to actually co-found two for-profit companies, that is FluxGen and AirPro, and a non-profit organization. I just feel that I this a lot of events, a lot of people I met made a big difference. So if I had to give you one takeaway from this journey, always be in touch with people, learn from them. Okay, so that is something that I want to tell you. Stay connected, learn from your friends, because the knowledge that we have is limited. So it is said that there are four pieces of learning. One is you learn from a teacher. The second, you learn from learn on your own. The third, you learn from your peers. Rest you learn with time, right? So that is one takeaway if you want to take from this, that all the four aspect of learning has happened in last 20 years. What all I could look at next 20 years, to be honest, if I have to tell you guys that most of you must be in your early 20s, you have 40 years of your career ahead, right? If you retire at 60, 65, you have 40 to 45 years of career ahead. Don't be too dependent on technology that you want to be good at. When I graduated, probably the mainframes were considered as super duper technology, but today nobody actually consider mainframes. Today we talk about cloud technologies. Rather, the most important thing to you is how you want to build your attitude, how do you want to build your skills in how you want build capability to build new skills quickly, right? Something that I would say Chandran is good at. I always see that he wants to learn something very quickly, so become good at quickly learn skills. But it is very important to identify the field of interest that you want to work for the rest of your life. For me, it is sustainability. Some of you it might be healthcare, some of you it might be education, some of you it must be social, it could be poverty alleviation, some of you it could be climate change. So it doesn't matter which technology you want to go in, but which field you want to be in is rather many times more important. It's my personal perspective, I might be wrong, but that's what I have figured out in my career. You got to be learning new technology regularly, become work with people who know great technology, whether it's artificial intelligence, blockchain, all this thing is going to remain. And as a skill requirements that an employer look for, right? All that I would say is great attitude, right? So if you have a great attitude, and probably it doesn't matter what your skills are. You can always say, I am a quick learner, I'll learn something, and go for it. So in my case, though I had a placement interview, cracked everything, I couldn't take that job. But in retrospect, it was such a good thing, right? So always be sure, I mean, at least be aware what you're dreaming for, because if it comes true, you shouldn't be like, oh, I shouldn't have dreamt of this, right? Because it many times what do you think will happen, right? So my thing to you guys is, you skills come and go. I mean, during my time we all learned C. I think C is even useful today also. I think Python is such an important thing to learn. So everybody should be acquainted with at least one programming language. That's like, I think it's a must. So don't miss out on that. So see, I'm not a big fan of this recruitment process of corporate companies. I mean, You guys can always use that RS Agarwal and all those things, but don't too depend on that. It's a very short term thing, like depending on recruitment process as your key enablement to get a job. You can get job anywhere in the world today because you are living in this times of remote working, right? For that matter, a company like WordPress never had a one office. Everybody used to work from different co-working spaces all this while, right? And that was very unheard of. But today, everybody. So uh, instead of me telling you tips for recruitment process, I would tell you don't depend on recruitment process, right? You're much larger than a recruitment process. Focus on yourself. Learn what you love the most. Don't market changes. If you are always dependent on market, today AI might be there, blockchain might be there, but it's not true that it is going to be there forever. So right, that's what I would say, that don't depend on that market and recruitment process. All that hassle is in my opinion waste of time. Okay, I might be completely diametrically opposite to what you are thinking today, but invest your time on yourself. What is your strength? What do you want to be good at? Everything else will happen on its own. Universe knows its way to make you get to where you want to get to. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to me. I mean, I don't know if this was how beneficial it was with the thought process that you came. So thank you, Chandran, for this opportunity.
Yes, sir, definitely. So there are a couple of questions which have come up in the comments. So I'll just ask them quickly for the Q&A session. So
Sure.
one was by Shreya, one of my co-interns at FluxGen. So, sir, she has asked about how is your internship experience like when you were in college?
Okay. So, to be honest, my first internship was actually when I was in third semester holidays. My father connected me to this laboratory, which was in Peenya, industrial area of India, in Karnataka. That internship was very simple. There was all this laboratory equipment, and the person whom we were reporting to, he said, "Do whatever you want to do, build whatever stuff you want to do, and tell us the result of that experiment." Because this laboratory is all about trying out new experiment. So my first internship was all about trying crazy electronic circuits, whether it is a, we even built a small FM amplifier also, FM radio, and we were able to even broadcast some signal in some 89 megahertz, and we were able to use our radio headset to listen to that. So it was like super fun. And my second internship again happened in that same laboratory because we loved it so much that I went even after fourth semester. Then my next internship was actually in ISRO, where we developed that microstrip antenna that I showed you. So that was very, I mean, organized, because ISRO is a government organization. It was very organized, but we were able to observe people. What are they doing in an organization? How is this company running? So ISRO, as you know, is a very, very inspiring place. So we saw some of them were like working day in day out. So the most important experience to me was that people who were passionate just didn't care about what's happening in the organization. They were just focusing to learn, and that was a great takeaway. I learned from those individuals who were building this different antennas for ISRO. We were in the antenna division, communication group, and we were talking about they were talking about Chandrayana and all those things back in 2005. Different, so it was a good experience, I must say. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir. So the next question, sir, you can stop sharing your screen. That way we'll be able to actually,
Sure.
yes. So the next question is by Meghna Kashyap. So she has asked about what is the future of the IT sector in your opinion? Like, what are the necessary skills one could have in the IT sector, and what do you see as the future of the IT sector?
So, I would say the IT sector, if you consider, let me talk from where my knowledge probably is completely rather better. from the IT sector, from the IoT business, like something like where there are devices connected, right? So there are going to be a lot of disruption, right? Before we were having data to our software through either manual entry or various other ways of entering this data, whether it is from your banking sector, which had your money as the input data, but now with things coming in, things able to communicate to the internet. So I think a lot of things is to do with the internet, right? So cloud computing is going to stay for long. Like people have realized the importance of cloud computing, right? So the IT sector is going to grow a lot in cloud computing, especially from how things, like whether it is a IoT device or a sensor connected to the cloud. There's going to be massive growth in that segment. Artificial intelligence is going to be really important because with all this data in the cloud, you want to do the computation of this data and give some insights. Long before, I mean, when I was doing engineering, the computation capability was very little for the artificial intelligence to process this. So you need to have very powerful computers to do AI. So you have to do it on a specific supercomputer. But now a cloud itself can be a supercomputer. So I see that cloud computing is going to play a very important role. One more thing that I think IT sector would grow a lot is in the edge computing, right? So while the Googles and Amazons of the world has been able to put a lot of data centers and you would be able to compute in the cloud, but the Nvidia and all these companies, including Google for that matter, have come up with edge computing, powerful edge computing, whether it is Jetson Nanos of the world or various GPUs. All this thing can be as small as in a handheld device. So you would see a lot of computation localized at your edge. So, so the software industry is going to revolve around all this because the computation is capable and security has become a very important concern. Different technology for security. I mean, you could call as crypto or what you call blockchain for that matter is going to play a very very important role, right? I mean, like so ability to compute, ability to create insights through AI, and able to send this data through a more secure channel through something like blockchain. These are for sure going to play a very important role in next 5 to maybe even up to 10 to 15 years for sure. I mean, there's no second thought about it. What is even more important is which application will take a lot of weightage, right? Like we are talking about smart cities coming very this one. So IT sector would have a lot of opportunities. Smart cities, industries. I mean, industries which are conventional industries would like IoT, like how FluxGen develops water management through for industries like that. The industry is going to go through a industry 4.0 where it's going to be completely digitized cyber physical system along with AI and blockchain is going to play a very important role. So the applications play a very important role. Like like how banking sector has changed in last 20 years, you'll see many of the sectors changing. So that's where IT is going to go. That's where the direction of IT is. And there are other sectors like healthcare and this one. Combining all these things, I would say sustainability is going to play a very important role because it is said that COVID is like the fire drill for climate change. Our planet is going to go through a very tough times, especially you guys should be even more important. So I feel applying IT for sustainability, clean tech, applying for climate resilient design would play a very, very important role. So these are my guesses. I hope I'm reasonably right.
Yes, thank you. Then, sir, the next question we have by Anurag Kavista. So he has asked about what do you think is how exactly should co-branch students actually come up with some form of startup ideas, even in the core branches itself, like since they have a larger amount of capital investment required compared to something like in the software domain. How exactly do you recommend, or what pointers could you provide for core students to actually come up with some startup?
See, the future of technology is actually some way connected to uh, solving some problems in, as I said, clean tech or climate change. All those things are going to become very important. So IT is going to be there in probably all the fields mostly. So you should not separate yourself from IT. Everybody should be tech savvy in terms of IT savvy. What is very important for core branches is hit your lab, go to your laboratory, spend your time. So if the best place in your college, I feel, is go using these equipment, which are like bunch of crores of rupees equipment where you could do testing. This one. So in fact, not that I'm trying to downplay IT, but I'm just saying that IT is so open that anybody could actually build a code and they would be able to put it on this one, right? The entry barrier for IT is much lesser. But if you think of core branches, it is much difficult to actually build things, but you could create a larger entry barrier. So my advice to the core branch people, even I come from core branch. I mean, if you think of it, I've been always building electronic circuits, to be honest, mostly building water monitoring system hardware. And if you consider civil engineering or if you consider mechanical engineering, the fabrication has become like manufacturing is the new software, or the hardware is the new software, right? So it is getting more closer to democratization of doing things. So you can have access to these labs called KSAT, or various Karnataka government has set up various maker facility everywhere. Hit those maker facilities. Spend your time in this maker space. Use the software which are available in this maker space. Design your hardware. Design your devices. Start prototyping. Prototyping is the most important aspect for building any product. Start doing it, and then see how magic unfolds. So take the first step in prototyping. That's my message to people in core branches. Once you have your prototype working, it doesn't take too much to actually make it commercialized, right? The first step is the most important step.
Okay. Yes. So another comment which we've got has been with respect to your video, which has been made on Accenture by Vinod Prabhu. So he has spoken about that. So, sir, could you give some insights into that?
Sure. So we were very fortunate, and we were doing our work. And one fine day, Better India calls up and say that we love your work and we want to cover a story about your work. Can you connect to your customers so that we can talk to them and find out how we are solving water problem for these industries? We connected to them. We shared our thoughts, and they made a story out of it. Exactly after a year or so, we get a message saying that we had so many stories in the Better India, and we were like we had given these stories to Accenture, and Accenture picked your story. They wanted to make a documentary out of it. We were like, wow! Out of some hundreds of stories in the Better India, they selected three stories, and one was us. And they told, we want to make a video coverage of your story. And they actually came to us, met our customers, went to the customer side, and made this video. All that I should say is we are grateful that our vision to make the world a water positive world was actually put in a light that everybody, all of you, could actually see the video. And now we are actually working on a mission to make water positive India, water positive world, and building this water warriors after this video. So this video has given us the direction. I mean, every time you get a recognition, it's a responsibility. So we feel we are more responsible to the society, because we have got that recognition. We can't just take it. So I'm very, all that I would say is I'm thankful and more responsible after this video is done.
All right. Sir, another question which was asked was with respect to the current learning pattern as such. So, with the entire lockdown and entire COVID-19 situation, education has been affected and we have online classes. So, sir, are there any other recommendations from your side on how we could actually learn from some other platform or actually keep trying to build our skills even during this COVID?
See, one of the things that I would like to say that I've actually gained from the internship programs at FluxGen is that cross pollination helps, right? So I would strongly recommend, while you would be able to go through Coursera, that course, this course, absolutely important. Always keep yourself upskilled. But what is important is ask your friends, peers, right? I mean, talk to them and tell them what you are doing. Ask them what they are doing. So this is so important. Like, we have started through this internship called the Influx Talks, right? We started this to actually tell people their own learning journey. The students are creating their own videos and telling their own learning journey in this less than a 10 minutes talk, right? I would recommend all of them to reach out to you to on influx.guru website and share their knowledge. So I feel uh, you only while you are learning on your own, the biggest learning happens when you teach, right? When you teach, your all your gaps in your learning gets filled. So that's what I would say. Keep at different platforms, but whatever you have learned, teach it to somebody. Go and tell, I want to teach you whatever I've learned. Please feel free to ask me any question from whatever I've learned. Right. So this kind of progression should happen after you learn a subject. One, of course, I would always recommend is, if you want to reach out to larger set of people, go to the website influx.guru. The interns of FluxGen actually built this platform, and I mean, right? It's like it's not a commercial platform anyway, right? So I would definitely urge people to use these platforms for peer-to-peer learning.
Yes, sir. So, since just as IEEE is one of the clubs in NITK Surathkal, could you actually give insights into the importance and value of clubs as such in college and how exactly they affect in corporate as well?
So, if you remember in my presentation, I started with a second slide of my days in RV College was actually being involved in organizing this fest called Connect. It's a techno-cultural fest, right? So, back in my during my time, there was no IEEE chapters or something like that. So the fests were like equivalent to clubs. So I think if you're not part of any club, I would recommend, I mean, somebody, people who are listening, we take up that part, because these learning of interacting with people, right, the human skills, and while learning technology through these clubs, like whether it is a paper presentation or even a poster presentation, there's a lot of interaction that happen, which are actually micro learnings for your corporate life, right? And I should say the guys who have been part of the clubs, in whether it's IEEE, ACM, or various clubs, racing, NIT racing club, these guys turn out as the best candidates for working with us, right? Because they know how to work as a team and they understand where technology plays a role and where this one plays a role. One of the things that I want to add to that is, there are three aspects of strength. One is muscular strength. Next is your ability to think, mind, intelligence. The next comes heart, your emotional intelligence, right? In the late early years of civilization, your muscular energy was the most important strength. As civilization grew, the ability to think became intelligence became very important. But today it is said, in next century, your ability from your heart, your ability to care for people is going to become the next big thing, because anyway computers are going to do the intelligence that humans, it's going to outpass human intelligence anyway, right? So these learning of interacting with people through these clubs helps you build that heart part, right? So the future of work is in heart, not in your muscle strength or not in your intelligence, but future of work is in heart. Remember this, and that only happens through coordination and interaction with people. If not, FluxGen would not spend every day 1 hour with interns for icebreakers, right? We have, I mean, more than anybody in the company, I attend icebreaker because this is the most important strength that one should build, right? So go with heart. That's all I would
Yes.
say. Follow your heart. Everything is going to be all right.
Okay. Sir, so the final question, and this is some question which has been continuously asked, is about how important one's branch is while entering another field, or with respect to how where you get to work. So, does the branch you join actually define what work you do for the rest of your life? And if not, say you joined a particular branch and you actually want to move, what tips would you give in that regard?
So, in my personal opinion, it doesn't matter, right? It's entirely my personal opinion. If you ask me, Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Google, is from metallurgy or mining branch, I think so, right? And he used to do coding, right? So that's a illustrious example of a career in that direction, right? So I don't think a branch would matter. What is important is how update are you in the field that you love, right? It's all about love all the time. I would keep this all the time. What you love, and how would that, how are you working towards uh, achieving knowledge skills in that area that you love. Like for example, if you like OpenCV, like Chandran, you love OpenCV, right? You are good at OpenCV. You learned it on your own. Now you did a project on that, right? You and I did a project on OpenCV. So it didn't really matter that you come from a branch in computer science or this one. So today everything is so modular that every field can interface so well that you don't have to know everything. What is important is how things work at a system level matters very much. So understanding the system level details and working at a particular component that you want to do great can help you do good at the component level, and at the system level you get a higher level of understanding. So focus should be on figuring out what you love and trying to constantly put efforts in that direction. You should not be like, oh, today I'll do AI, tomorrow I'll do blockchain. Don't clutter your mind with too many things because of insecurity that you have. Focus on one thing, do good at it. Even in AI, there is reinforcement learning and supervisor learning. Focus on one, and in that there will be something very specific, right? So my advice to the youngsters is focus, right? Like if you ask me, Arjuna was one of the greatest warrior in Mahabharata, and Dronacharya asked him when he wanted to hit on a fish or that bird, what are you looking at? He just says, I'm looking at the eyes of that bird, right? And that's why he was able to be, he's considered the greatest warrior that time, because focus was so clear from his side, right? So that's what I would tell everybody: focus on one thing, become best at it. Just don't because until you find what you want to be good at, until you find what you want to figure out, try to do things reasonably many things, but once you figure out what you want to do, get focus on it, focused on that. So that's my advice to people from different branches working, want to get into another branch or so. Chandran, you're there? Okay, thank you so much, guys. This was great. I learned a lot of things. I mean, I hope I shared things from this that it was of benefit to you. Very glad to you can reach out to me through my email ID. As I've already shared my email ID, I'll just share it again. You can reach out to me if you wish to. Happy to you can reach out to me as Ganesh at alum.iisc.ac.in. Happy to help you in whatever ways possible from my side and the organization that I'm part of.
Yes, thank you so much for this, sir. From the side of IEEE and ITK, we would really like to thank you for this wonderful session. I'm sure everyone who has been tuned into this live video would have actually had a lot of key takeaways to in the field of not just entrepreneurship but also in the field of technology and with respect to the future, with respect to how we're supposed to enjoy our college life, how important alma mater is, and so on. So I must admit it was a really great session. So yes, with all the placements and all coming, it would be great if FluxGen, Airprobe, and all could actually come and actually give offers on campus as well. That would be a great experience as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we would love to. I mean, who would not want an NITK grad? So more than happy.
Yes.
We'll definitely be reaching out to your placement coordinators. Since I know you, you will. I know that you will connect me to the right person. I mean, it's
Yes.
entirely our pleasure to have NITK students and internship as well, or any of those experience. More than happy to be associated. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, great.
All
See you.
right. With this, guys, thanks a lot. We'll be ending the live stream.